I'm trying.
I know you are, dude.
And we are live, and we don't know what Eric is trying to do. So what's going on, everybody? This is episode 11 of the Gaming Perspective podcast. Thank you for tuning in with us a little bit later than usual at fault of my own. I needed to get some stuff together, and I was not fast enough. So I'll do a quick introduction of the panel. Rage isn't here tonight because wedding planning. Poor guy. Everyone have a moment of silence for Rage's freedom.
I'm pouring one out right now as we speak.
So I'll
you can actually hear the hook going into the nose right now.
All right, so I'll introduce my panel for tonight. So as usual, I have Mr. Samuel Tolbert.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And as always, the dapper Mr. Eric Jackson.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey man, I've only ever seen you in pictures, and any pictures I've seen of you that you post on Instagram, you're in a suit, you're dapper. Get over it.
He has a couple of cool T-shirts as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. I just come to the conclusion that Eric just makes me look like a homeless bum all the time, so it's fine.
No, I'm much more of a T-shirt guy than but I do like a nice suit. I will admit, I do like a nice suit.
Every man should have one nice one at least.
Absolutely. Yeah, don't wait to be.
Well, I trade in my man card. Then I'll talk to you guys later.
I mean, there'll be a few times in life you may be forced to have a suit. One
it's
graduation, and then when you're out of here.
Much better to have it not need than not have it. You know.
I don't know what's going to come first, funeral or marriage. It depends on my wife's mood.
and you could wear the same one that you wore your wedding to the funeral.
Hey, that's a bonus. That's thinking ahead.
Right.
That's just smart. All right. So as usual, we'll just do a quick what everyone has been playing. We'll start with Sam. What have you been playing today, sir?
God of War. I mean more God of War. So I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. I'm going for the platinum right now without spoilers. This is not a spoiler to say. I have almost every realm at 100%. All of them except Midgard. Midgard is currently at 88%, so I'm wrapping up the last couple of trophies right now. I looked at what I need to do. I think I got about 2 hours, maybe 3 tops, and I'll have the plat.
That's awesome.
Cannot wait for our spoiler cast that had to be delayed because unnamed individuals have not yet completed the story.
Yeah, Eric.
Hey.
That is some slippery sand we are standing on right there.
It is not for lack of trying, man.
I know, Eric. I know it is. And I seriously can't wait to talk spoiler cast with you guys. Just, I can't say anything at all. Yeah, I've been playing God of War.
You didn't run into like a Adamantoise like situation in God of War, have you?
No, I will say this. My one frustration of the game does come from getting the platinum because there are 2 specific things you're going to have to do, 2 specific trophies, and both of them introduce a bit of a grind into the game that otherwise have been absent, and I'm not really happy about that. Being perfectly honest, I feel like
talking the collectibles.
No, the collectibles are not grindy at all. Like, I actually like how the collectibles were done in terms of the artifacts scattered around. I mean, that's not a spoiler. We can talk about that, right? You guys have no doubt found some of those. Yeah, but no, that's not what I'm talking about. There's 2 specific trophies that are very spoilerish to talk about. 2 specific things you have to do, and both of them are a headache to get, even if you know what to do. So I'm not really happy about that. But
I think I know what you're talking about. My friend texted me about this earlier, and he's like, "Oh, you're not at that point yet, are you?" I'm like, "Son of a."
No, it's completely optional. You don't ever have to do it if you don't want to. And I'll be honest, I think the game is better for it if you don't.
Right.
I really do. I think if you're having fun with the game, and you don't want the platinum, you shouldn't worry about it. But
since every time I log in, like to play, I get like an update for a patch, maybe they can patch that out.
What is going on with that, right?
Every time I turn the game on, I was like, hey, patch downloaded, ready to go. I'm like, oh, what?
Like, every time
bigger.
Like, it's not like the only thing they're updating, because every time I log in, the text gets a little bit bigger.
Yes, that is what they're doing. They are gradually increasing the text, and people keep saying, no, if you have a big TV and you're sitting far away from it, it's still not big enough.
Wow. Patch it.
I mean, look, there are worse things that they could have had to do the day one patch for, so it's a minor thing, but it's funny.
I have to ask Nick real quick. Nick, did you play Final Fantasy 15?
It's sitting in a. Yeah, I did not play it yet. No.
Okay. Well, no. If you ever hear like Sam and I refer to, the Adamantoids, that's like you'll get there if you're ever going to go for either the platinum or the 1,000 achievements or whatever, right? Because you talk about grindy, it's like just this one thing. It's not even like a thing of difficulty. Well, it's difficult in the sense that you have to sit there for at least 2 hours trying to whittle down the health bar on this big, huge turtle. Right?
It is a ridiculous boss that is not hard to beat. But even if you've got the best gear in the game and the best stats and the best meal bonuses, it's going to take you 45 minutes to an hour if you're lucky.
Right, oh my God! Is that the one that they were bragging about pre-launch, where they're like, it takes several days and nights to beat?
Yes, it was
bragging about like it was a good thing.
It takes like in game, the battle takes what, 8 or 9 days, Eric? Maybe even more than that.
Yeah, and it's an impressive thing to look at what's going on the screen. But what's not fun about it is when you have it down to like a milliliter or whatever, a centimeter of like health bar left. And then the game glitches on, and it kicks you out of the map, way off into the field somewhere. But you can still see the marker of where you were doing the work, and you're trying to get back before time runs out on you. And you're like, I have to do that over again, don't I? I have to do this whole thing over again, don't I? Yes, you have to do this whole thing over again. And that's why we always refer to that, because I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah, that was the ultimate. Do I really want this platinum?
Exactly. I was like,
for you, how much does this matter?
Yeah. And I was like,
I'll say this, Eric. I'm really glad every time you bring that up that you didn't tell me that story beforehand, because I would have been terrified going into that boss.
Right. And I think I said something happened last night. I don't want to say because I know you're going for it, but I can't even talk about it. Yeah, I remember I put the controller down and I went to bed. I was like, I'm going to bed. Because you're right. It was one of those things where, is it really worth it? But knowing in the back of my head, I'm like, hell yeah, it's worth it because I did everything else. I need this done. Mm-hmm. And my OCD will not allow me to let it go. And yeah, so I went to bed. The next day was a new day. Yeah, I got my coffee. My breakfast.
The grinding God of War is not that bad. Let me put you at ease here. It's not going to be like that. It's just
to be fair on that one, yeah, it was a grind, but at the same time, it was a game glitch that like really screwed me.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been as bad as it was for you. You got the double whammy.
Yeah. I was like, what just happened? Like, nigga, I literally wanted to cry, man. I'm like,
dude, man, tears would have been perfectly acceptable. There is a reference paragraph somewhere in the Guy code or whatever that would have allowed for that. That ain't right.
See, I'm one of these people. I don't play a lot of those long RPGs because if anyone knows me, knows I'm a gamer score trophy nut to a T. And when I see an achievement list that's hard, I just need to finish it. Like I think I was one of the first 10 people to 100% Fallout 4. I had done within 6 days, I think 6-7 days, which is 3 playthroughs. But thanks to save points, I managed to do 3 playthroughs in 2 days. Anyways, but like I look at games like Persona 5, Final Fantasy 15. I'm like, if I play this game, I'm going to want to platinum it or 100% it. And then I'm like, do I really need to spend 400 hours of my life doing this? And I loaded up Persona today on my PS4, which is going to be my next game after The Witcher 3. And I'm like,
you sound like me, man.
I need to play these games. The thing is these games are really long and they're really daunting, but they are really, 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 really good. And I'll miss out if I don't play them. So it's just time to bite down and spend a month playing one game.
For whatever it's worth, Final Fantasy 15, when it comes to platinums or 1,000 gamer score, whatever, is not going to be that much worse than God of War. Because I know for a fact, because I got the 1,000 gamer score in Final Fantasy 15 after 72 hours.
Yeah.
So
in the grand scheme,
as long RPGs go, no, it's not very tough. Really, it's just that endurance fight. and knowing how to do some of the complicated dungeon puzzles. You get that down. You don't even have to do most of the side quests. You only have to do like
because some of them
two.
After a while, you're just like, this is stupid.
The side quests were not a strong point there.
No,
that was appreciated.
What you got to cook the spaghetti? No, okay.
But Nick, you sound like me, and I kind of said 2018 is probably gonna, when I do my list of how many games I finished or whatever, it's probably gonna be a short list this year because most of the games I have are all like major commitment games, like The Witcher.
Yeah, but it's a meaningful list. It's a meaningful list as a result.
Absolutely, and the only reason I stopped on The Witcher 3 is because of God of War. But I'm going to get back to The Witcher 3, but yeah, everything's like a long grind. Witcher 3, Persona 5, the Yakuza games, stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to be a slog, and I have a ton of stuff just sitting in the library, and it just keeps adding up. So maybe 2019 will be the shorter game year. I'll just start racking.
See, I made a promise to myself.
This is like the monkey's paw, right? Like, not to derail the subject altogether, but Xbox is going to announce 5 or 6 new IPs, all of which are going to be 200-hour RPGs.
I swear to God.
For you. Wish granted. Your problem is solved.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. No, this isn't okay.
I
made the promise to myself. Because May isn't sparse for games. June isn't sparse. There's games all the time. But I want to build a PC. So, and in order to do that, I need to stop buying these games. So I went.
That's not going to happen.
Nope.
So I told Sam, I'm like, Sam, I'm buying State of Decay 2 Ultimate Edition so I can play with you when you get your, when you're doing your review. So we can play it early. I'm not buying anything else in May. At all. Promising myself. And then I played the Detroit demo, and I'm like, maybe I'll have 2 games this month.
Yeah, you saw my tweet the other day, man. I was like, we got State of Decay 2 next month. You got Detroit. Got Donkey Kong, Tropical Freeze, and whatever other games are going to slide under the radar. So we might as well get to the point where we stop saying, will there be a sparse month?
No,
because
there won't.
There's carryover, and and also
the industry is too big. It's doing too well.
And don't leave me out of the State of Decay stuff. Like I really want to I kind of missed out on State of Decay 1, and for whatever reason,
same.
So I definitely want to play. State of Decay 2 looks really good, so I definitely want to.
Oh yeah, there's definitely going to be a spot in the community survival there.
Yeah.
I'm really. I don't want to derail us again. Keep on saying that because there's so much to talk about. But the stuff about. Yeah, there's so much stuff. The whole, you can bring your person into other people's worlds, but they can die there too. So you have to be careful about which survivor you choose. It really, really looks cool simply from like an RPG stat perspective of managing your own little Walking Dead drama-filled community. I can't wait.
Yeah, no, they got a lot of cool stuff into it, and that's why I wasn't going to buy State of Decay because I've got Game Pass, so I was just going to Game Pass it. But there's so much stuff they're trying to do differently. It strikes me as more than just another zombie game. Yeah. And Undead Labs is a fantastic studio. They did a lot of work on improving their original game back when it was an Xbox Live Arcade title. And they did a fantastic job with that. And I want to support them on that. And the fact that they put all this work into the game and it's still a $30 title.
Yep.
Cool. I'm
all for that.
I am 100% in on that. And I never want people to think people are always like, oh, if you support through Game Pass, you're not really supporting. No, you're still supporting the developer in a way. And the amount of people I know, it happened with Sea of Thieves. A couple of my friends get a Game Pass Sea of Thieves. Some of them were like, I'm glad I Game Passed this. It saved me money in the long run. So they didn't have a chip on their shoulder about the game. And then there's other people that are like, this game's a lot of fun. This really appeals to me, and went out and bought it. I think that's the great thing about Game Pass. We're going to be actually talking about Game Pass a little bit down the road here. But first, so we actually tackled the topic list here. We've started to get some people filing in. Thanks, everyone, for coming by. So we're going to talk about Detroit Become Human. Now, I streamed the demo.
Right.
And I'm just going to talk a little bit about this because I want to make it abundantly clear the praise I have for this game is coming from a high place in the fact I literally want to give David Cage as little credit as I possibly can.
Right. It's like,
Yeah.
Like, I do not like the man. I do not stand by his political views, his work views, anything along those lines. But Detroit Become Human may be the storytelling game that pushes that genre even further than it's been pushed before. Because one thing that really hit me with this game, when I first played through the game, it plays very similar to it's like playing Heavy Rain, essentially.
Yeah,
but for those that haven't played Heavy Rain, because I know that was a cult classic, so to speak. If you haven't played Heavy Rain, think Telltale Games almost. Is a good base.
Yeah, they're like high budget Telltale games.
Yeah, they're like high budget Telltale games. So you kind of know what you're
with a good engine.
Yeah.
With an engine that doesn't chug.
Yeah,
Right.
You don't get the frame rate drop. So think Telltale Games. The only major complaint I had with the demo is the controls were really finicky. And all your actions, like when you're conversing with someone, it uses your square, triangle, X, circle, which is fine. That's a great way of doing that. But when you're picking up stuff and interacting with it, it relies on joystick motions.
Yeah,
like
I'm
down,
gonna say it right.
Rotate.
I'm not a fan of that.
It takes a bit to get used to. And like if you're interacting with a tablet, you have to use the PS4 touchscreen, which is not, I'm not used to using that touchscreen for anything. I'm going to be brutally honest with you guys. So it took a little bit to get used to. The movement feels kind of clunky. Like the walking doesn't feel very smooth. But let's face it, if we were playing this game for gameplay, it wouldn't be a story-focused game. The gameplay is kind of annoying, but the amount of depth that goes into the storytelling is fantastic. So there's 5 different endings for the demo. The demo is about 10 to 15 minutes long. And different information affects how you can approach the scenario. And like, you have like in this specific part of the demo, I'm not sure if it's in the whole game as well or not. It has a percentage chance of success of completing your objective based on the information you find. So I started, it was 50%. Then I found more information about the hostage taker. I figured out his name, and that increased the percentage chance of being able to save the girl. And then you start finding more information. You start piecing together the story. But if you missed a small detail, it affected the whole outcome of the end scenario. Like I missed a tablet. There was a tablet underneath a table that I missed. It was like off in a corner somewhere. And it increased my probability of success by like 25%.
Which stresses you out.
Yeah. So there's like a stress to it, but it wasn't like a bad stress. Like you were sitting there, you legitimately approached it like a detective. You're like, okay, what are all my parts? What am I missing? Is this the whole thing? Because if you approached it the wrong way, you get a bad ending. And like there's 5 different endings, 2 of which you die, I think. And like it was just really well done, and the cause and effect, so to speak, was really good. And when you finished the segment, it gave you a tree.
Yeah.
That you can look at and be like, when I did this, I chose this, but there's another subplot point to this. And like everyone knows when they were teasing Detroit, they were talking about all the different options and how there's 5,400 different options through the story, which is astronomical. And they did pad that number because there's 4 opportunities that involve putting a fish in a fish tank. So they did pad that number to make it sound more impressive. But the amount of depth this game has, I have never seen. Because in Telltale games, you always feel like there's a good ending and a bad ending, or sometimes there's a bad ending and a worst ending. Right? And sometimes you feel like your minor decisions don't actually affect the end-to-end game. But with this game, every decision you make counts, which is fantastic. I think a game that did this really well, I didn't even really like it that well, but I have a lot of respect for the storytelling, is Life is Strange. Did a fantastic job of that. But that's what I'm saying with Detroit. I wasn't excited for this game that much. I was intrigued, but the demo completely sold me on it and what they're trying to achieve. That's where I'm sitting with the game anyway.
Mm-hmm.
What about you guys? Like, where are you sitting with Detroit? Whether you played the demo or even if you haven't played the demo, this demo is the same one they've showed at PSX. It's the same one we saw at E3.
You've seen it. Yeah.
Right. No, I stand like with you where it comes to like David Cage, man. He very much is like, if you found like a pizza parlor that makes just like, I mean, the most fantastic pizza, you love it, you can't picture going anywhere else, but the owner calls you like an asshole and a dick every time you see him, and like throws dough at your head when you're eating. He's just like the worst type of person, right? But you're like, I don't know why I put up with this, but I put up with it because it's good. You know, it's good. Mm-hmm. So it is like a very icky, you know, the guy's a complete tool, but you know, Quantic Dreams puts, and I'm trying not to like accuse the whole company, because there are people that work there and kind of like, they want to put out a product that people can get into. They can't help that their boss is a nuthead, you know?
Right. It's kind of a messy situation. It's kind of complicated.
Yeah, very complicated.
Either way you take, it's not going to be beneficial 100% regardless of what path you take.
Right. Just like one of his games, you know. So
yeah, right. I get where you're coming from, because it's that scenario where you're like, well, he's an asshole, and apparently he might treat his staff like garbage. So I don't want to support his game. But then if you don't support the game, those people lose their jobs. Mm-hmm. It's like you're like sitting there. It's like a bad, evil scenario either way you play the game. So it's really hard to. It's hard.
Yeah, and it's hard to split hairs, because I mean, look, it's definitely horrible from what we're hearing, you know, from what we have heard without knowing all the details. But there's all kinds of companies that are just garbage companies that people support, don't even realize that what they're dealing with. So I'm not making any excuses. I'm just kind of saying, you know. But anyway, the game itself, I'm a big fan of their games, and I just played recently Beyond Two Souls, which I know kind of got panned a little bit more than like Heavy Rain or whatever, but I actually really enjoyed it, and I know it's going to be free next month, so I definitely recommend that. But Detroit, just from this small demo, I can definitely see like the evolution of what they're doing. That the skill tree that you mentioned at the end, or the tree, I should say, that kind of like shows you the branches that you took. They're kind of borrowing some of that from Beyond Two Souls, but it definitely is a cool mechanic, because you kind of go up there and go, you know what? It kicks into your OCD, and you're like, I want to go back and try to get this outcome. You know,
right, exactly.
And I only did 2 of the outcomes. I only ended up doing 2 of the outcomes in the demo, and I want to go back and try the other ones. Which one did you get? I actually got the first one. Daniel was shot by the snipers.
Okay, wow. And arguably the best one, depending on the way you look at it.
Okay, and second one, we both went off the building. Saved the girl, both went off the building.
Again, arguably the best one, or the worst one, depending on how you look at it. Like, exactly. See, okay, I don't want to take over, but that's what I like about this idea of. I know you notice how in the demo it keeps saying like software instability increased or decreased, you know, indicating that what I like is your mission may not line up with what is best for the player to accomplish. I think there's very interesting hints of that here, where if you save the girl, you're an android. If you have to tackle the guy and you both die by falling off the building, well, that's your job. But that doesn't mean that's necessarily what's right for the player to do to keep the character alive. You see what I'm getting at here? And I'm wondering how that mechanic is going to be played around with and used in more of the game. Now, I know they haven't said exactly how long the game is. What I'm guessing, 7-8 hours at max?
25 to 30 hours is, and that's without replayability, apparently. That's 25 to 30 hours of gameplay. They haven't dictated whether that's you go through all the endings or if that's the whole game, but 25 to 30 hours is the.
I'm kind of skeptical that isn't like without replays, but we'll see. Regardless, though, I'm very interested in seeing how that plays out. And that web at the end showing you the branches of the narrative and the branches of what happens here and what happens if you do this and this, but you didn't get this. Not only is that cool because it fuels that gamer OCD, but it also, as an engineering student, it appeals to me because it's like, that's lines of code.
Right,
I know exactly what that is. That is literally if A, then B equals plus C, and then we have X plus Y equals Z divided by X plus 8 over here. That's literally just branches of code. And I love I don't know. Maybe I'm a little biased there. I know I'm a little biased there, but I really like that presentation. I really like that style. As far as I'm concerned in this genre, I know a lot of people say Life is Strange. Life is Strange was great. A lot of people say Heavy Rain. My opinion is that Until Dawn is actually the best of these types of games out there. Eric, have you played that?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So Until Dawn was fantastic. It's actually
Yes, it
one of my favorite games on the PS4. It's a short game, 4 to 5 hours, but yeah, I'm not going to say anything about it just in case anyone still hasn't played it. It's fantastic. Yeah. Nick, you and I still need to do a run through together. I know we've been planning to do that.
I just need to get my PS Plus because I got through PS Plus, so I just
once you do,
I was going to say it was free. It was free at one point.
It was. So, you know, and even with that, it had something called the butterfly effect, where it was kind of sort of like a halfway step. You know what I'm saying? To showing you those branches, to showing you the changes the narrative takes. But this seems to be going all the way, so I'm very interested in seeing how it goes. I love science fiction, love that sort of thing. Androids, all right, it'll be interesting. The only thing I'm concerned about, and this is what put me off last E3 with the focus of the trailer is, and you guys can feel free to chew me out, disagree, whatever. I really hope this doesn't devolve into stereotypical Android robot revolution. I really hope that's not what this is. I want it to be the complicated interplay of, are the machines actually sentient? What is their role? Is it better for them to serve? You know, what's going to be the ideal outcome? Is there no ideal outcome? I'm interested in that subtle interplay. I don't want to lead a robot revolution.
Yeah,
that's just me, though.
I find it shocking because you got to remember, like, context of, like, how I was brought up and everything else. And, like, I'm a white guy in Canada, okay? There has not been a lot of, like, jarring social issues planted in front of my face growing up. But they did a fantastic job of making you feel ridiculed as an android in that scenario. Like, when you're coming up the elevator within the first minute of the demo, they're dragging the mother away of this child you're trying to save, and she literally loses her mind that they're sending an android to try to save her daughter, and that there's no possible way that this is a good thing. And, like, you get that, like, subhuman level treatment that is just, it's jarring to see. I don't know, it just struck me in a really weird way. It made me uncomfortable, but not necessarily.
But again, they're androids, they aren't human. That's the point.
But, like, it struck a nerve, but not necessarily striking a nerve in a bad way. You know what I mean? Like, it made you think more than it was like, this is upsetting. This was like, wow, it just doesn't feel good, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I think this game has an opportunity. I think it's going to tackle some social issues that are currently going on in our society. There's no way it doesn't. It's set up to perfectly.
Let's just cross our fingers and pray it's not too ham-fisted.
Yeah, well, I hope there's tact.
With this kind of thing, subtlety. Subtlety is best here. Interplay, get people to really question, okay, what's right here? What's the right thing? Is this right? Is this wrong? Just don't take a social message and try to shove it down our gullet, if that makes any sense at all.
I agree. I think I enjoy political commentary in video games, as long as it's handled tastefully and done in a progressive isn't the right word I'm looking for. Tactful, maybe, is the word I'm looking for. I just don't want I don't want it shoved down my throat necessarily, but I like games that tackle issues. And I feel like with Detroit, they're trying to tackle an issue, and I'm interested to see how it pans out, especially if they're going to do it across. This game actually is 20, 25 hours long, and it's not just replayable endings. The amount of stories and corners you can get yourself into with all the different, like, talking options is going to be insane.
Yeah.
It's like, the thing is like, there's like, when you fire up the demo, there's a difficulty setting. And it's like, in this mode, you're more likely, there's more risks to you dying, and you die permanently. So does that mean if a character dies at a certain point, is there whole parts of the game I won't get to play because I let that character die?
If Heavy Rain is any indicator, I'd say yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, like,
now, Eric, help me out here. It's been a long time since I saw or played Heavy Rain or anything, and I never played Beyond Two Souls. Why did Beyond Two Souls get panned so much when Heavy Rain was praised?
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you, man, because I thought Beyond Two Souls had a really interesting story. I think maybe it's because of how they kind of went with the Pulp Fiction type of storytelling. Like, it kind of jumped around. And
okay, so it's like one scene here in this time, but then there's another scene 8 hours into the future, that kind of thing. Okay.
Because in the PS4 remaster version, they ended up having two options. You can play it as it was originally presented, or oh man, somebody's catching hell out there.
Oh dear.
And then you can also play it where the timeline is in order.
Okay.
You know, so you can pick that. You can have those two different options. I think that might have been a part of it, because I know some people just don't like that. They don't like that style of storytelling.
I think too, that drama between Cage and Page came out just before the game launched as well.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, I'm almost positive, because reviewers panned it because of the relationship that Cage and Ellen Page had at the end of it. Because all the creepy stuff came out before the game launched.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely think that probably tainted reviewers to it.
Okay.
And it's
understandably that was crazy.
Because from my understanding, my roommate back in the day played it, and he hated story-based games, and he liked this game. So to me, that speaks volumes when you have a Call of Duty guy sit down and play a story-based game for 2 days straight to beat it. Like, that speaks volumes to me on what the quality of that game could be. I think that uphill battle that Beyond Two Souls have, I feel like even if Detroit's a really good game, because of the drama that unfolded with Quantic Dreams there a couple months back, I feel like that's going to get dragged back up in the reviews. It doesn't have anything to do with the reviews.
It could be very, very well be that situation where people are just like, you know what? It's like, we appreciate the art around this, but it's really hard. It may catch that bump because of Cage. Like, he may be detrimental to his own craft and his own company, or his studio, or whatever, you know?
Yeah. No, and that's why I mean, it's like, I feel like with Detroit, it has the potential that it could be like a 90 score game, but with just Cage's reputation, it won't. I don't think there's any way that it won't. It will hit 90, even if it deserved it. I'm not saying it doesn't. It does. I'm not saying it does. But I just think that's just how it is, because we're in a gaming environment where social issues are in a constant toss and tumble of where we stand on things and everything else, and that there's no situation more muddy than that whole controversy with Quantic Dreams as it stands. There's no right or wrong answer, because there's so much different information flowing around. It's hard to pass judgment one way or another. But unfortunately, I feel like that will taint review scores. I think the game will be really good. Under Eric's recommendation, I will be tackling Beyond Two Souls, because I kind of held off on it, picking up on PS4. But now that it's free with PS Plus, there's no risk to giving it a shot.
It's free, right? And I like good story-based games, so we'll see how it goes. How long is it? Just out of curiosity, Eric.
You could probably get through just like one playthrough, probably in like 8-9 hours.
Okay, all right, so standard, basically.
Yeah, but I think I told you, like, the thing about it, I think I like Heavy Rain better than Beyond Two Souls. But what I like about Beyond Two Souls is the concept that you're going to be dealing with is something outside of what they kind of did with like Heavy Rain. Heavy Rain very much plays like a CSI or Law and Order.
It's an interactive movie, and that's not a negative statement, really. Yeah,
this one's dealing more with like a little bit more on the supernatural side of things.
Okay.
And they're playing with some I don't want to say too much, but they're playing with some very interesting things there. And I think that's kind of what compelled me more than anything else, you know?
Gotcha.
Okay. So, that sounds really cool. And Eric has done a better job on selling me on that game than a lot of people have.
He probably just did a better job on selling you on it than David Cage could have done. So,
you heard it here. I need to take over Quantic Dreams. Make that
I'm
happen.
all for this.
Hostile takeover.
Microsoft, hire Eric.
But I do want to say one thing about the Detroit demo. If the rest of the game is going to be like this demo, it's going to be really interesting because I tell you, in those few minutes, like you actually ended up caring about what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You got to admit that's kind of hard to do. Like, because usually the first few points of a game, you're kind of getting some things down. I know this is a demo, so it's meant to just kind of give you a taste of what's going to be in store. But just in that, in the 2 endings I got, I was like, I don't even have any connection to dealing with these 2 characters, for any length of time. But my outcomes were very much like, damn.
Yeah. It's like, okay. Holy crap, this kind of takes me by surprise here. It's like, even if that's early on in the game or middle of the game, because I can't imagine that's a late game scene, not the way they've shown it off, and they've kind of shied away from showing anything else. The fact that you can lose a character just like that, and there's 3 protagonists, and they're all dealing with different things, that is interesting. That's very interesting. I'm not sure that I'm going to pick it up at launch. I'm probably going to wait for reviews, and just realistically speaking, I'm going to wait for longer than that because May State of Decay 2 has my priority, and then after that, I'm going to be heading out for E3, so there's going to be a good 2 weeks where I'm not really going to be able to play anything. And then Vampire comes out early June, which, oh man, you want to talk about story-driven games that look like they have potential? Vampire is another one.
I'm hoping. I'm going to be very, very disappointed.
I told the guys there when I was in the private demo last year, I said, if your game is half as good as this demo is making it seem, it changes the game. How do I put this? If it actually delivers a 1/10 of the potential of like the system of NPCs that they're talking about, it'll be a game changer moving forward, where people will look back 5 years from now and say, okay, that did something cool.
Right.
So I'm really crossing my fingers there.
I'm hoping so.
I've been trying not to pull the trigger on the digital deluxe version of Detroit for the simple reasons it's got the Heavy Rain copy included in the digital deluxe. It's only like $10 more than the regular edition. So I'm like, I really want to replay through that game again. But I told myself I won't. I am going to wait for review scores. I am not doing a review on Detroit. So I'm going to wait for review scores just because I want to make sure that what they're showing in the demo and what they've shown so far is through the entire game. That's my only concern.
Right. Yeah, that isn't just one of the 2 high points in the game.
Yeah, exactly. I always make sure I'm with all, especially story-based games, that you're not showing me the best parts of the game.
Right.
To sell me on.
That is a risk. If they can maintain that interest, not at the exact same level. Of course, they're not going to maintain the same tension level or whatever, but keep people interested. Yeah, for sure. And see, when I was going through doing the detective stuff, I was like, man, you know what Quantic Dreams needs to do? They need to get the LA Noire IP from Rockstar, who's never going to use it again, and make a goddamn LA Noire sequel, even though you can't because story reasons. But I just want another game like that. I want another game that drags me in like that. Again, definitely check out Vampire. I'm telling you.
I'll keep it on my radar.
Yeah,
it keeps falling off my radar. I don't know why, but
it might just be because there's not a lot of talk around it right now. Because they're just kind of doing their thing.
Not to derail us, man, I'm going to keep using that phrase, huh? But Focus Home Interactive, and this is actually something I like about them, I've told them this, is one of the last real AA publishers out there, if that makes any sense, in that they're putting out lots of games. They have a lot of studios they either own or they work with or whatever, but they're not like big budget, $100 million marketing campaigns. They rely on word of mouth. They rely on reviews. They rely on loyal fan bases. And as a result, I do worry that means Vampire might not be getting the marketing it deserves. But we'll see. Hopefully word of mouth can do something special if it really turns out well.
Right on. Yeah, I'll definitely be I'll keep it on my radar. I may break my no games bot rule for that one, just because I like supporting good developers, which is bad because there's so many damn good developers right now. So we're gonna branch into a little bit of statistical talk. We're gonna talk NPDs, but not in a traditional sense of PS4 won the NPDs, Xbox X, or Xbox is still selling consoles, so it's relevant. We're not going down.
Get out of my Twitter feed.
Right.
Okay, so So important NPD information. Almost everything's down compared to last year because there's a lot of stuff came out last year. Accessories, interestingly enough, are up 20% to 372 million. I was reading a small article that was saying because of the popularity of Fortnite, headset sales have like tripled.
Wow.
Like they're selling like my GameStop is sold out of Astros and Turtle Beaches right now because there's so many people buying them. And yet whenever I play in a lobby, still no one has a damn mic. So Sony's PlayStation 4 was the best-selling hardware platform in March. This is the key fine print here. PlayStation 4 was the best-selling console hardware platform because the sales are split up SKU-wise between the PS4 Pro and the Slim. But the Nintendo Switch 32 gigabyte with neon red / blue Joy-Cons is the best-selling hardware item of both March as well as 2018. So obviously with the PlayStation 4 being split across 2 SKUs, those track differently. So they're selling more Nintendo Switch 32 gigabyte bundles than Sony's selling Slims and PS4 Pros separately, but those Pros and Slims combined equal more PlayStation 4s. There's some people that were really confused about that. I thought it was really clear.
That seems obvious to me, but okay.
Yeah.
You're talking about Twitter.
Yeah. So now the thing that I love about NPDs, software. It's always interesting to see software and where things land in software. So deservedly so, Far Cry 5 took the #1 spot. Great game, a lot of fun. It's the best-selling, fastest-selling Far Cry game in franchise history, which is really good for them. That was a huge success. It is now the best-selling game of 2018, surpassing Monster Hunter World.
Which is crazy because
Monster Hunter World
was on top of the charts for like 2 months straight.
2 months straight. You also got to think, if Monster Hunter World's hit 5 million in 2 weeks across all its platforms, but Far Cry 5 beat it out in total year to date numbers in like a matter of like 2 weeks.
Jeez. I mean, I know Far Cry 5 is on PC as well, where Monster Hunter isn't yet. So that probably made a big difference.
That part probably helped a fair bit, but they're saying Far Cry 5's on track for like 10 million or something insane. So
wow.
Damn.
So Far Cry 5 did
killing it.
Because like a month or two ago, Monster Hunter could do no wrong.
Right.
It was like pretty money. Damn.
And that's what I mean. It's really impressive, and I'm so glad because I was finding Far Cry was getting so stale, but they really nailed the humor, the game. They did so many good things with that game. I'm really happy.
Yeah, see, that's on my playlist. That's on my playlist also. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, that's another one that's kind of like right now falling prey to me trying to finish some other stuff and sticking to the rule of not buying anything new. Yep. And that was a really hard month when Far Cry 5 dropped.
Oh, dude, I'm with you. It was brutal.
Yeah.
This is the best looking 4K game on the X. Ooh, I really don't like you right now.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Logging off. Yeah. You know, and I stuck to it, but I still want to pick it up and play it. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
But think about that. It's crazy that Ubi's delivering like this on these games. You know, and
Ubisoft. It's funny because as far as developers go, Ubisoft has slowly sneaked its way out of that 2013, 2014. Where they were like considered one of the worst developers, and now they've slowly become one of the top. And it's the same way Bethesda's slowly creeped to being one of the best publishers, as a turnaround surprise. It's really cool to see these companies changing and like learning. Like Ubisoft really understands their player market and how to. They've figured out how to monetize their player market through microtransactions and everything else, because there are microtransactions in Far Cry 5, but they're non-invasive. Like I played through that entire game. I unlocked everything with in-game stuff. There was no grinding, nothing like that. You had the option to buy it, but you definitely didn't have to. It was like, oh, I can go hunt bears for 15 minutes and buy this really cool gun, or I can spend $2.99 to unlock it. No, I'll just go hunt bears for 15 minutes because it's fun. Because I can take a drug and one hit punch a bear. Like, that's fun.
Right. The funny thing with them is, like, they were, like you said, the developer that you could set your watch to. Like, you just knew when you got a game from them, it was usually going to be quality. It was usually going to be very interesting, right? And then they did go through that point where it was like, people were like, they're starting to feel a little dirty.
Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed Unity hitting back to back was rough on them.
That was what I was gonna. That's what I was leading to, Sam. I think what happened, especially with Unity in particular, I think that was such a debacle for them.
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
I think it made them like stop and just kind of rethink, slow down, rethink everything. Because I think they were doing so well that they were getting to that point where it was like, you drop the ball at the goal line. It's like
it kind of got to their head.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think Unity was definitely like a straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. And it kind of made them sit back and think about their quality control. And what
they had a lot of fear at Ubisoft because, as everyone knows, Tencent bought into Ubisoft when they hit that low point.
Mm-hmm.
And Tencent was essentially trying to do a hostile takeover of Ubisoft. Eventually, they were hoping that Ubisoft would hit another game, like a bad game, and then they'd just buy them out, and then God knows Ubisoft would probably get stuck making mobile games.
You see what happens when you have like gazelle-like intensity and there's a cheetah on your back.
Yeah, and see
they learned, and they learned.
They're doing some great things. I went back to Ghost Recon Wildlands last night with a friend, and we're doing the Sam Fisher missions, and I'm having a blast with that game again. Like, they give me reasons to turn my game back on and replay their games because they add new content to their single player games. It's awesome.
Not just their single player games, but even, Rainbow Six Siege got like a 72 or a 71 on Metacritic when it first launched. People called it terrible. Now they've turned it around to one of the best performing, best selling games every single month.
Yep.
For Honor. For Honor was a disaster in terms of the servers, even though people love the combat. Now it's got over 1 million players per month. Yeah. Ubisoft has figured out what they do, and they know how to do it well. And they're appealing to both sides of the crowd.
Exactly. And like with For Honor, they spent 3 months and a ton of money to get dedicated servers because people were like, peer-to-peer servers when you're doing like medieval combat sports sucks. So they were like, well, we'll work on dedicated servers. And they worked on it and they got it out. And the game is a lot more stable and a lot more fun when you're not lagging because someone's trying to play For Honor on their McDonald's Wi-Fi from their car. So Far Cry was a huge success for Ubisoft. Sea of Thieves came in at number 2.
Wow.
Now, the interesting thing with Sea of Thieves, and to give it context, next couple of games that came out were our next ones on the list are MLB The Show, Kirby Star Allies, Grand Theft Auto 5 in the number 5 spot. God damn it, who doesn't own this game already? But to give context with Sea of Thieves, because I've seen various things that are overhyping what it did on NPD and a lot of people downplaying what it did on NPD. What this shows with Sea of Thieves is that Game Pass doesn't devalue the sales of games, because if everyone Game Passed this, it would not be on NPD, because NPD does not account for digital rental services or anything along those lines. So the game sold well. Another thing to keep in mind, because everyone's like, oh, it outsold MLB 18 The Show and Kirby. Oh, that's huge. Keep in mind, Sea of Thieves came out on the 20th. MLB The Show came out on the 27th, 28th. So it had a week more time to sell. That being said, most games sell in the first couple of days in their biggest amount burst, quote unquote.
Sports games too.
Especially. But not to take away from the fact that Sea of Thieves is the best-selling Rare game on any form of NPD tracking since 1995.
That shocked me.
Rare has success on that. And what I want to see is, I'm not going to sit there and champion and be like, yeah, Sea of Thieves is a huge success. What I want now to see is you track the software, you got the software out there, people are interested in this. Now I want to see the focus of the developers going forward. I think Rare is going to deliver. It's a game as a service title, so the content going forward has to pull people in. So what I'm saying is it's great, it's a financial success, but they need to keep building on that momentum because it's such a multiplayer focused game. MLB The Show sold insanely well. It broke all of its franchises records. It outsold MLB The Show 14, which was the highest selling in the franchise. Kirby performed well. It's already over 1 million copies, which is fantastic.
I'm about to get some more money. My daughter wants it. Keeps playing the demo.
Kirby is such a weird thing to me. I loved Kirby growing up, but all my friends were like, "You play Kirby? You weird."
No, wait a minute. I got to go back to Kirby just for a moment there. If it sold over 1 million, does that mean that the 3 above it also sold over 1 million? I mean, Far Cry 5 is just, that's painfully obvious, but I'm really talking about Sea of Thieves and MLB.
My understanding from Blandrew on Twitter is that Kirby sold over 1 million, but I believe that's Japanese, so that doesn't count into your North American NPDs. I don't.
Oh, okay, so that's worldwide. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's worldwide.
Gotcha.
Okay. Kirby sold 1 million. I should have specified it's in Japan. It sold 1 million, but that's a huge market for Nintendo in that aspect.
Sure.
I thank you for actually reminding me to clarify that. Because I could have got misquoted there. The one I really want to point out that's fantastic to see, because the rest is standard Mario Kart, Call of Duty, NBA 2K. Ni no Kuni 2, The Revenant Kingdom, actually made it into the top 10 in software as number 8, and it's now the best-selling game in the franchise after only being out for, I think, 5 days to track on NPD. So
that's impressive too.
That's fantastic. It's a great looking game. If I ever get some free time, I want to play it. It looks really unique. It looks like a lot of fun. A lot of people I know have said they enjoyed it. A couple of people said they didn't for different reasons.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to play the first one, and I don't know. I can kind of be like something, not really a stickler on that kind of thing, but I really wanted them to release the first one along with the second. I don't really know why they didn't do that.
Yeah, because it's a pain. Because I asked, I put a tweet out because I was interested in this game. I asked my PlayStation guys to follow me. I was like, hey, I want to play Ni no Kuni, the first one. How can I do that? They're like, well, you can either get a PlayStation 3 or you can technically play it through PS Now. And I'm like,
I don't want to do either.
I don't want to do either of those.
How about a proper PS4 port, since backwards compatibility isn't a thing?
Look, because I have my PS3 still. It's in storage. I don't want to pull it out, go through all the updates. It takes forever to update. And yeah, I really don't want to play it there at this point. I'd rather have it on PS4.
Yeah. It was the same thing I was shouting from the roof before God of War. I was like, bring back 1 and 2.
And that's another thing. I don't know why they didn't. I don't know why they didn't do that. They have it available. They could have.
God of War is making bank. This is a perfect time to cash in on that.
I have a feeling you might see it now. People.
If we don't, I have no idea what's going on.
I saw someone.
They hate money. That's the only excuse I can come up with.
Someone tweeted at me. They sent me a GIF of a printing press making money, and they're like, "What if we got the studio that remastered Shadow of Colossus to remake the original God of War trilogy in the new engine?" I'm like, shut the front door. I never wanted something so bad in my life.
Well, they are working on something. We don't know what it is.
Yeah, they're working on some sort of game.
So, I don't know if that is it. I have no idea. Hey, maybe that's why they didn't do it. Because it just doesn't make sense to me why they wouldn't throw those up. On the PS4 backwards compatible, whatever you want to call. There's that, whatever that thing is they have going on there.
PS2 Classic Selections.
Yeah, PS2 Classic Selections. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to say backwards compatibility. I know that's
you know what makes me angry about that, actually?
What's that?
Evidently, jailbroken PS4s play PS2 games without any issues whatsoever. It's literally just DRM blocking them.
But you void the warranty.
That made me irrationally angry when I found out. Yeah, it's there.
Right. But, no, it's all emulation. It can be bypassed, and it should. Yeah.
Hey, I'm really excited. The PC guys are getting really close to having a perfected PS3 emulator. And when that happens, I'll be super excited for that.
When that thing works, I will be hitting up Demon's Souls since, again, for some unholy reason, a great game that we haven't.
You never know. That could be the remaster they're working on.
It could. I'll concede that. It could, yes. But if it isn't, then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But bringing the discussion back in to Sea of Thieves a little bit, I will say it's very interesting. Matt Piscatella, the industry analyst, was talking on Twitter about how, from everything they're seeing, Game Pass isn't hurting game sales. Through word of mouth, it's actually helping them. So I'm very interested in seeing what that does for State of Decay 2.
Well, it's kind of something I talked with you guys about before the show. Game Pass has this potential where it can help developers get their games out to people without getting them a chip on their shoulder if they bought the full price game. So a couple of my friends were kind of interested in Sea of Thieves. I was like, hey, it's available on Game Pass. Why don't you Game Pass it first? And they're like, hey, that's a good idea. Like, I had a couple of trials. I gave some of them had bought like the 1 month or whatever. So for like $10 or whatever. And a couple of them were like, this game's not really for me. I'm really glad I Game Passed it. They're like, it's good. It's not my type of thing, yada, yada, yada. So they didn't have a chip on their shoulder about being sold a game that they didn't like or anything like that. They just kind of went, okay.
You got plenty of other things that you can go.
And like even after that, they still had other games they were interested on Game Pass they could go play for the month that they spent $10 on. So they didn't feel ripped off, anything like that.
It's like Golden Corral.
Yeah. Yeah. And like there was my other two friends were like, we really enjoyed playing Sea of Thieves. And they're like, we don't want to keep renewing Game Pass, so we'll just buy the game. So they went out and bought Sea of Thieves, and they still play it to this day. More power to them. If they enjoy it, cool.
Right.
But I think with Game Pass, it gives people the opportunity to try games. And then if you don't like the game, you're not sitting there going, God, I'm going to now have to go trade it into GameStop for half the value it was 5 minutes ago. And that's awesome. And we've also started seeing on Game Pass indie games hitting Game Pass first, like launching available on Game Pass, which is cool because that means there's more potential for these indie developers to get people playing their games, try it out, maybe buy it, et cetera, et cetera. I always maintain that even with Xbox Game Pass, it would not affect the sales of physical games. Because if that was the case, no one would buy movies anymore and everyone would have Netflix. People have Netflix, but people will still buy movies.
Right. And that's the beautiful thing is, unlike Netflix, they've got, and Matt Piscatella, mentioned this on Reset Era, talking about the NPD breakdown, where the Game Pass model takes from Netflix, but also differs, is that they have that physical option as well, or even the digital purchase. People can still buy the game if they want. So there's a lot of double dip and crossover opportunity there.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting.
And like you can tell, Microsoft released those numbers. All their numbers are insanely up from Xbox Live. Microsoft basically came out and said today that they have the highest engagement numbers. Basically, they've got more people spending more money on the console. So the people that are playing on Xbox spend the most money on stuff on the console, whether it's movies, games. I don't know if you can still buy music on your Xbox. I don't know who the hell did that in the first place, but those kind of things. But it's interesting in the software things because we always have this thing where we think, oh, if there's more people bought this console, there's going to be more people buying stuff on that console. But it's the same situation as back when the PS3 was on its downturn, but it had those really good games that made you want a PS3 anyways. When they started hitting the price drop and everything else, more people were buying stuff on PS3 than Xbox 360. And that was because a lot of people were buying Xbox 360s for COD, DVD players, that kind of thing. It was the cool thing to own. So there's obviously going to be more people not buying stuff all the time on it. There's going to be a guy that plays one game on the console. Whereas some other people that are buying a console for different reasons are going to spend more money, so to speak. This isn't a thing where, well, Xbox gamers support games more than PlayStation gamers. That's not what the numbers mean at all. What the numbers mean is that people are investing in their console and they're interested in these services. Microsoft is making an insane amount of money off Game Pass, EA Access, these services, because while they may not appeal to the most hardcore market, they appeal to the casual market. And as much as we don't want to say this on Twitter and everything else, the hardcore market may be the most vocal, but they are not the buying majority. Because all you have to do is look at Star Wars Battlefront 2. You had all that drama. That trickled into like Facebook, everything. That drama about the loot boxes and everything was everywhere. And that game still sold an insane amount of copies. Because the casuals are like, ooh, Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
That's your buying market. And Microsoft does a fantastic job at appealing to a casual market that just wants to play their sports games, whatever. But to wrap up my little rant, a lot of people I've seen on social media are like, Microsoft's still making a ton of money hand over fist. Take that, Sony. No. No. When you see a company like this making this much money, and we know, let's just drop the argument of Microsoft first-party issues. It's an issue. They know it. But if you sit there and go, Microsoft's making money hand over fist, so that means it's okay. Yes, it's good they're making money, but at the same time, are they really going to change if they're making money hand over fist?
Yeah.
That's a concern you have to have as a consumer. And that's not a slight against Phil Spencer and the Xbox team. That's business. Because businesses will continue to do practices that make them money. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much people like your business. If they're not spending money on your business, you're not going to be a successful business.
Mm-hmm.
That's just where I'm saying.
That goes for any of them. I don't understand anybody that brags on any corporation's like money. Like, to me, you sound like an idiot who hangs out with an NFL player. Like, you have no money.
Yeah.
But your NFL friend has all the money, but you're like, yo, we got dollars. No, we don't have dollars.
No, he got dollars.
Like he's going home in his Bentley and you're in your Hyundai.
Yeah, I find the financial aspects interesting and fascinating to pour through the details of what performs well, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. No, absolutely. As interest in the industry, that is fascinating. But people who are like, it's all good, they got dope. Okay.
Now, it is interesting in terms of it puts to rest a lot of concerns in terms of the division being profitable or whatever, because for a long time, the division wasn't profitable.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't. It was not a money sink, but it was something they just poured money into to have it as part of the Microsoft brand. So the fact that it is now making revenue, that is interesting in terms of what it does for them moving forward.
You can pay your rent and you're showing, you're carrying your weight. Now you can show, hey, you guys are standing on your own. So, hey, we're not carrying you. You can kind of do your thing. And let's see where that goes. That being said, and this is just, since we're talking specifically Microsoft, this isn't digging on Microsoft. It's just saying, I look at this with any corporation, and I said this on here before, there's what you're going to be told because they're selling you a product, and they're all trying to sell you a product.
Mm-hmm.
But it's what becomes tangible.
Right.
So that's kind of where I won't say butt heads with people. We have deep conversations about this. It's sort of like, things can be said all day long, but until something is shown, we have nothing.
Right. Exactly.
That's why when people say, they're fine. Yeah, that's great. They're fine. Because I know that kills the narrative that they're getting out of the business. I don't know why anybody ever really believed that or kind of ran with that narrative.
It was never a good narrative, but it's never been worse than it is now.
Yeah, it was always they were about to be bought by somebody, or it was like, they're trying to get out of it, and this and that. And it's like,
that narrative was going since 2012. It's like, come on.
That's a shaky bridge. It's like, no, they're not getting out of the business. They may be going different directions with certain things, but they're not jumping out of Xbox, right?
No. But that being said, the fact that the division is profitable, I don't want us to go too far off here, but the fact that the division is now profitable, Phil Spencer and Matt Booty have been promoted. Their hands are no longer tied by Terry Myerson, who, let's just call it for what it is, basically hamstrung the division, is the ugly truth that's coming out, because all the purchases had to go through him. in that time, I don't think it's a coincidence that right off the bat they've brought on Daryl Gallagher, and he's sitting on a board that is reserved for studio heads. I don't think it takes much of a logical seek, so to speak, to figure out, okay, cool, things are happening now. Things can actually happen. So keep it up. We want more news like that.
Yeah, because when you say, okay, we hear you, this is what you have to do. And look, I'm the kind of person that's like, stop telling people what they should stop saying. Like, if someone's just being noisy just to be noisy, that's one thing. But if there's like a legit fan who's just like having conversations, they're talking that's why we all Twitter's like a therapy session in a lot of ways. If you find the right people.
Unfortunately, the regular counseling got mixed in with the crazy house.
Right. So if you can weed out the people who are just like noisy chihuahuas and just actually have talks, it's like, no, if you're talking to the right people, no one's saying that it's over. They're just like saying, in the grand scheme, it's like, I'm concerned, but not worried. I'm not sitting here like look, if Microsoft said tomorrow, yeah, we are done. Eric still has to go to work. Eric still has to feed his family.
Right. And in terms of what that would do, well, A, it's not going to happen, but B, we cross that bridge when we come to it.
Exactly. It's not, it's like, worry about the right things, people. It's like, if someone's just kind of having a dialogue and saying, this is kind of what I'm looking for, because I have been a consumer and a fan of this for so long, I don't really feel like they're hearing me. It's like, I'm trying to find other gamers to talk to say, hey, we hear, whatever the case may be. Nobody's right or wrong. But that's why I said, like, I keep saying roadmap. Even if it's something that's a little ways out, they're kind of in that position where if you say we have XYZ coming, you don't have to give a date, do whatever. Think about how many people that will go, okay, I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like,
and again, I mean, coming from the guy who loves the Bethesda model and is basically a Bethesda fanboy, again, the fact that I agree with you is saying something pretty strong there. But now let me pose a theoretical question to you. And I'm sure we're going to dive closer into, Xbox E3 predictions, whatever, as we actually get close to E3.
Right.
But let me ask you this. They said that they would have more to share about Daryl Gallagher coming on the studio's leadership team at E3. They literally said, hey, we're going to have more to say at E3, folks. What if how would you feel if they say, so yeah, we're hiring for a new studio, this guy's getting put in charge, they're going to have something great for you, and that's all you got? What would you say about that? Because it's a little different than a game being announced. But if they came out on stage and said, hey, this great guy is being put in charge of his own studio, we're hiring, pulling in some more people, but that's what's going on there, how would you feel about that? I would still feel it. I would still be in that point where I'm kind of like, okay, show me. Because that's where I am right now. It's like, we have words, but show me. That's all I want. Show me something. Say something. You know what I'm saying? And again, I point out, I would say this about any of these companies. It's like, I did it, dude. Last generation, I didn't pick up a PS3 until like 3 years in. I was like, oh, no, there was no reason to.
I'm not going to get a second child to pay for your console, buddy. No, not happening. It's like,
because it ain't powering your refrigerator.
Right. You can kick rocks with that, dude. It's, so that's just kind of how my mindset works. Works with my phones. Apple, I didn't feel was moving in directions I wanted them to go. I jumped to Android for a while. That's just kind of how my mindset works. It's like,
see,
I guess I'm just interested. Sorry, let me just.
I didn't really answer your question.
I'm interested in the idea of, okay, we don't know what he's coming on to do. I mean, I think we can all agree he's going to be in charge of a studio. It's just the cards are there.
It would still be show me, but it would be like, okay, yeah, I see you hired this dude. Now I'm looking forward to what it is that they're going to be working on.
Right.
I guess the answer is no, I don't feel like they're bullshitting me at that point. I feel like, okay, there is something coming. You would
rather them say that than nothing at all.
Yeah, I don't need you to put a big plate of spaghetti and say, hey, it's spaghetti. See, I can smell spaghetti and go, oh, I smell spaghetti. Okay, I know that's what we're having for dinner.
One of the great guys that tunes in every week, Fatal, he just sent me a link here. And I think me and Sam talked about this in DM earlier in the week. It's on Reset Era. It's talking about Microsoft's direction going forward, because we all have our theories about where Microsoft is going. And this is from Microsoft, quote unquote, inside sources. I can't remember who the original source of this info was. I'm just going to read out the bolded text because it's a rather lengthy piece. I've heard from 3 different sources saying that Microsoft is pushing forward new hardware, but that release timeline is still several years away. They're looking to hire someone with GDDR6 expertise, and they're also exploring to deeply integrate game streaming into their next console, which makes sense because Mixer is such a huge part of their business. Microsoft is making significant investments in hardware content to close the gap with Sony, and has the financial backing to go all in on gaming to win the next generation. Now, you can look at that as opinion piece or whatever. The main focus is how they're going to do this is the console will be forward and backwards compatible, much like the Xbox One X, and et cetera, et cetera. This was on the original link to this is www.thurrott.com. I'm pretty sure me and Sam talked about this earlier in the week. And so basically what Microsoft is doing right now, and some people will call this damage control. Other people will say, for me, Xbox is done this generation. And I don't mean that in a negative factor. I mean, there's no way that they can bring out things like Death Stranding, God of War. I shouldn't have used that
generation, but anyways.
Yeah, no, sorry. I shouldn't have used Death Stranding.
No,
I was just out of my ass, okay? Damn it, Sam. So like games like God of War and things like that, Detroit Become Human, those games take a lot of time. So Microsoft isn't going to just be able to pull these out. But if they're focusing on next generation, realize what they did wrong with this generation. And I enjoy my Xbox. I enjoy it for what it is, but there is some things they can work on and improve that will appeal to a wider audience. At the end of the day, if more people are buying your consoles, the more money you get. The more money you get, the more content you can put into that console. So to wrap it all up in a roundabout fashion, basically, is if Microsoft is dedicated to the console and everything else, and they realize what's wrong with it, there's no doubt in my mind Phil Spencer gets these tweets every day about, where's the first party games, Phil? Phil. I know me and Mike message Phil on a somewhat regular basis about Dino Crisis. I will never stop. Phil, if you ever watch my podcast, Dino Crisis now, damn it. But in all seriousness, they realize what the problem is. If they fix it, cool. If they don't, that's on them. And as consumers, we'll either support it, not support it, everything else.
Yeah, and I want to kind of touch on something Juan just said. He asked, like, when does show me end? Launch day? No, it's not launch day. Show me probably never ends because we're consumers and we're always going to want to know what's coming on the horizon. But you have to be more vocal, and we all can admit they've never been really good with messaging like this generation.
No. I think they've gotten better over the last year or so. But even then, that's not the strongest statement considering where they started from.
The thing is, it's like for Xbox right now, we know what this year is going to hold. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well,
we know what we okay. Yeah. Sam, I know where you're going to come from. We kind of know everything. Kind of. There's might be a few surprises down the line, everything else. But 2019, I almost said 2018. I'm still living in 2017. In 20, there's a guy in the chat asking for 30 cents on PayPal. What the hell? Sorry, I'm getting distracted now.
That far.
God damn it. I completely lost my train of thought now. Sam, re-rail me.
You were saying
you were talking about years.
Oh, right. So for 2018, we basically know what's coming to Xbox. I don't think it's a bad thing. There's some games I'm looking forward to. There's some games I don't care about. But in 2019, we're kind of in this area where it's like, what is what are we doing, guys? Like we've got speculation about Halo, and like Gears of War. We got speculation, but we don't have a lot. So all I want from Xbox's E3 is literally just show me what you guys are doing. Show me what you're working on. And we have talked about this on this show before. Just teasers, even just a little bit. Just show me something about Fable. I don't care what it is. Just confirm what we already know, that you guys are working on it and that it's a thing, because they just need to confirm it for me. There's just things you need to do. Like, I know Microsoft has gotten flack for showing games too soon. Sony's gotten the same flack for showing games too soon. Both companies are really, really bad for that. But I feel like with first-party developers, you have to show that, because that your first-party studios sell your console. So if people don't know what's coming in advance, they're like, oh, well,
Yeah, you and I kind of talked about that before. That's the problem with the fact that I'm probably never going to get my Bethesda model repeated at Xbox that I like, is because you have to show at least a couple of games farther out.
Yeah,
than that.
Exactly.
I think as time goes on, you could get that model, but as we said, right now they're in a very weird position.
Right.
They're not in an advantage.
Let me clarify.
Position.
Not anytime soon. If they get to the point one day where they've got 20 different studios or 18 different, big first-party studios, then yeah, sure, they can get to that point eventually. But not right now. Not for the next 4 to 5 years minimum. They're not going to be at that point. And obviously, we'll go further in as time, as the E3 gets closer. But they don't need to show. Let me rephrase that. Because they do. They just have to show commitment. They just have to show commitment of, hey, we know you guys like this. And we've talked about this before, Eric, as well. I don't want Microsoft to be Sony. I don't. Microsoft and Sony have very different strengths when it comes down to it. Sony, and I'm going to get grilled alive for this, but I'm sorry, it's the truth. They can't do competitive multiplayer as well as Microsoft can. They don't. Every time they've tried, it's ended up in their studio getting shut down. Sorry. That's just the reality of it. Microsoft, they've got it. The co-op aspect, they've got it. And they seem to be learning how to integrate co-op in more meaningful fashion, a la State of Decay 2, which is cool. But I need you to see something. I need to see something from you, Microsoft. I don't want God of War, Death Stranding, and all these other different titles all repeated. I just want one big RPG that shows, hey, yeah, we got you. We care about you. We got a little something for you. We got a little product for you.
And here's, I think I said this the other day on Twitter. I said, because I know people kind of say, well, I don't want them being Sony. I think what people say with that is, I kind of like what they're doing. I want them to just stay multiplayer, whatever the case may be. And I said, I don't need them or want them to be Sony either, because as a matter of fact, they never followed that. They were the trendsetter last generation.
They carved out their own little niche.
Right. They had Sony fans saying, what the hell, man? How can we get a Halo?
Right. They had Sony chasing Halo killers for years, and none of them worked out.
Killzone was supposed to be the Halo killer, and it just that didn't really work out for them, right? So no, I don't need them to be in Sony, but I want them to be the company that sold me on Xbox from the OG through the 360 and now. And that's what I'm saying. This generation, for me personally, I'm not speaking for anyone else, how anyone else feels. I haven't had that game from them yet that kind of made me go, holy crap, I don't care where I'm at. I got to get an Xbox to get this game going. That's how I felt when I saw Halo, or because that's what made me get my OG. When I saw Gears, I was already in the 360, but I was like,
Gears was sort of the nail in the coffin, because BioShock and Mass Effect had already been confirmed. I know those were timed, but nonetheless, they had all this other stuff, Perfect Dark Zero. Gears was just sort of the, oh, by the way, in case we haven't sold you already, let's just close the deal.
Exactly. And so I don't need them being or giving me, I don't need them chasing what the Sony model of doing things, but I want to see them do something, because it's sort of like that thing where, when you have first party is like your gateway drug into everything else.
First party, basically, at the end of the day, and this is a fast Doc, forget Amnesia on Twitter. He's done some fascinating little Twitter threads on this. First party is basically what sets your company apart in terms of it's your artistic appeal.
Exactly.
And Sony in particular chases this idea of niche, weird. Sometimes it's going to work out. Sometimes it really, really doesn't. As of late, it's been more single-player cinematic focused, but they've done other things in the past. It's not always been that way, of artistic appeal. Each studio does something that is artistically pulling in an audience that none of the others did. Some of them haven't worked out. Like, that's why we've seen Zipper Interactive and Liverpool and Evolution and a dozen other studios all close there. But you get the point I'm saying. You get what I'm going for.
Yeah. And the reason I say, I know some people make the argument, you know, well, exclusives don't sell. And again, we get back into people worrying about their wallet, worrying about, you know, the corporation's wallet. It's like, why are you worried about that? You know, that's
right.
You know,
exactly. Like, look at the Bethesda model. I'll say this again. Look at what Bethesda does. Fallout 4 and, you know, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, those things sell ludicrous numbers.
Right.
Absolutely ludicrous. It's some of the only games that can compete with GTA and what Rockstar does. A lot of their other games, as much as people love to preach about single-player games, their other titles really don't sell. Dishonored didn't sell. Wolfenstein did a little okay due to marketing. Evil Within 2 did well simply because the horror genre, you know, us horror fans are starving for good horror games. So we were able to push it up a little bit there, but even then that didn't last. But you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter because they're going to continue doubling down on those studios because, yes, Skyrim gets ported to every machine under the sun, and it's a meme at this point. But that money funds them. That money keeps everything else alive. You know what? That's why I love my Todd memes. I love the Todd meme. Praise Todd Howard. But at the end of the day, if it means that I keep on getting Dishonored games and it means Arcane, you know, is doing weird stuff like Prey and I'm getting another Evil Within from Tango Gameworks, then yeah, you know what? Bring on Skyrim for the smartwatch. Bring on Fallout 4 for the mobile phone. I don't care. You will see me buy them. I will buy Skyrim for the microwave if it means those studios stay alive.
Right. And, you know, it's funny that you mentioned that, and you've said that before about the Skyrim thing. Those kind of things fund the other ones because at the end of the day, they understand even if like Dishonored isn't doing, you know, Fallout numbers, it's doing numbers and it has a fan base that comes back to us and they look to us to give them these experiences. That's who we are.
Exactly, because who else is doing those weird, you know, first person kind of RPG, kind of not sim games?
Right.
Who else?
Nobody. And that's why
Arcane is literally the only studio making them. They are literally the only developer on planet Earth who makes those kind of games.
And I can't understand why, for the life of me, why nobody is buying Dishonored. I'm like, this is like an amazing franchise.
I don't know. I could rant about that for now.
But the thing is, I love them for doubling down on the single player gamer. They were like, we hear you. You know, we're here for you. Because that's a niche in this market, and this thing that's going on now. It's sort of like everyone wants to say, you know, well, it's only about multiplayer. I like to play with my friends. I have nothing against party chatting. I have nothing against co-oping. I have nothing against multiplayer. But at times, and Nick, you may attest to this, when you worked all day, when you come home and take care you come home, take care of your family, you do everything. I don't have any more to talk about.
Right, like there's a few people like you guys would be an exception. Like, sure, I'll DM back and forth with you. That's fine. That's relaxing. But I find being in party chats exhausting some days.
Yeah, I'm like
all the time.
Sometimes I like to get into a party and goof.
Crewing up on Sea of Thieves. I'm gonna have a ton of fun doing it with State of Decay too. But some days, no, I just want to get lost in, you know, Senua's head. Or I want to dive into, you know, Corvo's head and see what's going on in that world. And I appreciate them doubling down on that because they know it's worth having that tiny audience.
Right.
It's worth pulling them in. Dishonored 2 didn't sell well? Oh, okay. Well, no problem. We'll give you Death of the Outsider literally the next year. Oh, Prey didn't sell well? Well, we're kind of dropping hints every other day that we're going to have something to announce at E3 for that.
Right.
I love it. That's fantastic.
And it is sort of like that thing, like people may say, well, how the hell did Nat 2 get like a sequel? And it's like you said, Todd, not Todd, but
Mark Cerny has
Mark Cerny.
Anyways.
I think honestly, if we're being serious, I think it's just one of those things. It's like, hey, we have the assets. It's not the most difficult thing to do. It did have a small number, but hey, what's it going to hurt to put this thing out there, right?
Yeah, it's not you let all 10 people who want to buy it buy it.
Right, yeah, because again,
who doesn't want to see Mark Cerny do that smile of his?
Right, right. But it's that thing that it says, again, people come, it brings them in, and then they stay for everything else. And I wanted to touch back. I know we went down like the single player rabbit hole for a minute, but I wanted to touch back on the multiplayer aspect of things of I'm trying to think about, I was talking to somebody about this. There was a time where, Microsoft, Xbox, multiplayer was the king. That's where you went from their games to just the service and the whole case, right? some people will say, well, Sony doesn't do great multiplayer. But would you even say maybe they don't really need to? Because at a time when like Halo was just dominating when it came to multiplayer, and then Gears kind of came in and did the same thing, some of the multiplats were kind of still getting their act together, and some of the networking stuff just wasn't.
Oh yeah,
definitely on the Sony side.
On the networking aspect with Xbox Live, way ahead of the game before everyone else.
So
I mean, you're gonna hate me. You're gonna hate me for this, Eric. But you say, does Sony even need to? I'd be lying if I said I don't want to see SOCOM Battle Royale. I actually really.
Let me rephrase that. Yes, if you're gonna say Microsoft, hey, I want some great, compelling single player, you have no problem saying to someone, hey guys, you do have an IP that could be really dope for multiplayer.
Yeah, Battle Royale is all the rage, and SOCOM is one of those things where I will non-jokingly say, yeah, I would like to see it. Yeah. That could work.
And I think if people, honestly, if that's what they want, they should definitely be pressuring to get the same. It should be, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Do they need to create, I don't know, that's up to the person or whatever. I'm not really necessarily looking for that, from either one of them, because, where I stand like with multiplayer. Like I have certain co-op things I'll do. I'm not the biggest when it comes to competitive, whatever. And time is like limited. So a lot of my times when it's like I'm ready to play, it's like, most of my time is single player because I can kind of get in. I don't have to mess everybody else's party up because I got to run or I can't make it or whatever the case may be. A lot of pressure there. So that's kind of all I'm saying. Like with that, it's like, and kind of going back to what like Juan said, it's like, how long are people supposed, things take time, and I get that. But I think sometimes when I see people say this, and I'm not talking about Juan in particular, but I see people say this on Twitter, like, be patient, these things take time. And it's like, you guys got to stop talking about like Microsoft and Xbox like they just launched this generation. Mm-hmm. Some of that onus is on them. It is okay to say, some of the onus is on them. You don't have to defend every part of that. But I'm not saying you have to also browbeat.
No. I said this in chat. I'll give them credit for the investments I see happening right at this very moment. Because if you read the tea leaves, you can see, okay, some things are happening.
Yeah.
But that's not a reason to take the boot off, so to speak.
And I think at the end of the day, it's like what you guys just said a moment ago. Nobody really knows what's happening.
Right. That's another thing as well, is that you had Sea of Thieves pushed back a little bit. You had State of Decay 2 didn't really get pushed back. That was never going to be a 2017 game, so that was fine. That was realistic. Mm-hmm. But you had Crackdown 3, which has infamously been pushed back a lot. So it's like, okay, first half of this year is pretty darn good, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. My humble opinion, assuming Crackdown 3 launches late June, early July, that's not a bad first 6-7 months. Mm-hmm. But what goes beyond that?
Right.
That's the question.
Right. And then back on the Sea of Thieves things, like they had a really strong month, and I know like there are people downplaying saying, well, what was it up against? It's up against a few different games.
It was
you can't take away from the fact that it,
MLB is not a slouch. Yeah.
Right. But that being said, is also now you have like a little flare that went up. So it is now like your thing to say, we want to keep that and maintain that and keep it growing. Because no pun intended, they're in uncharted water when it comes to that.
No, they are. And I will say this: you talked about how we talked earlier about how Xbox hasn't had that one defining thing. Again, I know it's contentious. I think Sea of Thieves probably comes the closest out of everything in terms of multiplayer. When we're talking about multiplayer games, simply because, Rare went and did something very different. Something that, in multiplayer terms, isn't replicated anywhere else. It's a very different type of game. I still want to see them evolve it. But, from what my understanding, my talks with different members there and what they've said on Twitter and Reset Era, they've got a 100-person team at Rare who's going to continue to work on the game. They're launching monthly updates starting in May with a lot of new stuff. They gave a bit of a roadmap there. So I'm excited to see what it becomes over time.
You know what is missing?
What?
A chainsaw gun.
I just need Rod Ferguson to go to see it, like to Rare headquarters for 2 weeks. You know what? Rare's sitting there at the design table, like, we're gonna give everyone pet monkeys, and Rod's sitting there like, but what if we give them chainsaws?
You know what? I can respect the man whose opinion is this needs more chainsaws. Really,
Yeah.
that's a good life attitude.
So to actually segue this into our final topic, this actually sets up our final topic really, really well. Halo.
Oh God.
So, hello.
Don't.
What? We're not allowed to sing Adele in here?
No, just you.
Oh, okay. Well, fine then.
Halo, that's a video game.
So, hey, Microsoft DMCA'd the Halo Online game and copyright claimed it, got shut down. So it's dead and kaput in the water. Made a lot of people really mad, which makes no sense. If you don't own the IP, you don't have the right to make a game about the IP. When Nintendo does it for Pokemon games, it's fine. But when Microsoft does it for Halo, it's a crime.
And can I jump on that really quick? Really quick, because there's something important here. They've even explicitly stated they're working with the mod team to do what they can with this, but that they were put in an uncomfortable position because they literally have to take it down. If not, the IP can be challenged and Microsoft gets into a lot of legal trouble. They had no other choice. It's not this, oh, well, screw the little guy, we're the big man. They're trying to work with them and find a solution, but they had to do something there.
Yeah, and see, this is the thing. Is like, if people are giving Microsoft flack for this, I did not hear these people when that Super Mario 64 12-player multiplayer game came out on PC, got stripped by Nintendo within 24 hours. That fan-made Pokemon game, which they didn't charge for, which was free.
Or Nintendo's Mafia leaning on people on YouTube.
Oh, don't get started there. That's still nonsense.
Yeah, let's not even talk about, like, I always laugh because I always make the joke. I'm like, there's no Nintendo YouTubers because you can't make money being a Nintendo YouTuber.
Yeah. I
always made the joke that Splatoon and ARMS were funded off all their ad revenue from their YouTube fan base. But so they had to take down the game because legal restraints and everything else. And 343 Studios came out and said that PC players should not fret or be distraught, that they were being kept in mind going forward with Halo, and that they wanted to bring the classic Halo experience to PC. Now, there's a couple of ways people can take this.
The right way or the wrong way?
No, it's not even right or wrong way. There is with this podcast, my most important thing is I don't want to be an outrage content creator. There's people that will drum up hatred towards something or get you riled up and angry about something. I'm just going to present you the factual information, and then you can form your own opinion. Whether you get outraged about the information I present you, that's your own business. But with Halo, should it go to PC? I'm going to ask you guys yes or no. Don't explain it, just yes or no. Sam, Halo to PC, yes or no?
It already is, yes.
Yes. Yeah, I know it is. But everyone seems to forget the original Halo was on PC. They know, yet people weren't burning.
I witnessed it.
That was my first experience of Halo. I played Halo on PC for the first time. I didn't play it on console. I played it on PC first. I was like, this game's amazing. And then it led to me buying an Xbox because I played it on PC and went, oh, this is great. I want to play more. And then they're like, hey, there's more. So I bought it. But at the end of the day, with how Microsoft's set up with the Play Anywhere and everything else, if you want to appease the PC market, first of all, get rid of the Windows Store. But if you want to appease the PC market, the thing is if you're going to go full Play Anywhere with your first-party titles, you can't be like, all of our games are coming to PC, except for that one. That one you don't get.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
And even, I'm sorry, I have to pipe in here, butt my head in and address the outrage over this. Like, why is this a problem? It would inevitably be through the Windows Store. And they even said, they didn't say that PC players were now their priority. They said, classic Halo experience for PC users is at the top of our priority. It's not difficult to understand. That means, yes, PC users, we hear you. We want to get you the games that you want on there. That doesn't mean the Xbox fan base that is the bread and butter of Halo purchases has suddenly become second-class citizens of some sort, sitting at the back of the bus, if you'll forgive my using that phrase. That's not what's going on here, and it's getting ridiculous.
Right.
See, it's so strange to me that, like, if you own an Xbox and you don't own a PC, that all of a sudden your gaming experience on your Xbox is ruined because somewhere out in Ohio there's some 16-year-old kid who's booting it up on his PC. You're just sitting there
Jimmy
like, there's somebody that's literally shaking in rage right now about Halo going to PC. They're like, they don't deserve it. They don't own the console. They don't support Xbox.
You know what Microsoft sees?
Money.
Another Game Pass subscriber or another $60 purchase. That's all it is.
Hey, and if you're gonna brag about their money, this is right up your alley, right?
Exactly. Like, hey, Nintendo, they're not going to mess with PC. Sony, of course not. That's Windows. Microsoft, they see an opportunity. What's wrong with that? It's a first-person shooter, so my only request is make crossplay optional, like you've done with Halo Wars 2 and Gears 4 and all the other crossplay games. So if they keep that trend up, it's not a problem. Cool. We have no issues. They can, if they purchase the game, they should be able to enjoy Halo as well. I don't understand what's so difficult about this, people. They're not selling Halo on PlayStation. It's not mine. I don't get it. I really don't understand this.
I just picture like the scenario where somebody like boots up Halo on their PC for the first time, but it shorts out somebody else's Xbox across the country somewhere. I was like, for everyone that it fires up, it shorts out an Xbox. Damn it!
I don't understand the I don't understand the obsession with exclusivity as a whole. Like, I get why it makes people buy consoles and why it sells consoles. I get the marketing standpoint for it. Like, I get that. Yeah, but I don't understand getting mad when I'm a 6'5" dude, parent of 2. If I sit there and start rage typing on my keyboard because Microsoft has the balls to put Halo on PC, I have some life issues I need to tackle before anything. Eric's dying right now just picturing this.
I just picture getting in the car, slamming the door. My wife's like, "What's wrong?" It's like, Halo's on PC.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's like it just value. I mean, I feel worthless right now.
Yeah,
and she's like, "Oh, honey, she would be okay."
No, she'd be like, "Okay, let's drive by the divorce lawyer because obviously mental." We were going for pizza, but now we're going to the divorce lawyer. Let's go.
See what you've done.
At the end all and be all of the game, if a game goes to another platform, it doesn't make it worse. It's not going to decrease the quality of the game if it's on another platform.
Well, yeah, but we're not even talking about another platform. We're not talking about Microsoft going third party. That's the piece I don't understand here. This is still their ecosystem. It's
right.
Yeah, but
they built it. They own it.
The thing is because for some reason, and I say this is a branching thing for all console people on social media, is for some reason we have this thing where if it's on PC too, then nobody's going to buy an Xbox because everyone's going to go out and buy a $1,000 PC to play games.
Wrong.
No. What Microsoft is doing is most PC guys I know, there are some exceptions that have bought PS4s this generation because of the library that's on PS4. Mm-hmm. It's expansive. But most PC guys stick to PC gaming. Like the ones I know, there are exceptions to this. People like a buddy of mine on Twitter, Kev. He owns all the consoles.
We can find exceptions for anything if we want.
That's the key thing. There's exceptions for everything. But as a general rule of thumb, most PC guys I know stay in the PC ecosystem. Just like most console players have a specific ecosystem they prefer to play in. Whether you have both, you spend more time on one.
Having those games there isn't hurting Xbox, it's helping Xbox. I know for a fact, I literally have 3 friends who are hardcore, like, you want to say master race, they're PC master race users, like, to the nth degree. But guess what? They bought Sea of Thieves because it was available there.
Right.
Because it was available on the Windows Store and they could have fun with it there. They weren't going to touch it if they had to get an Xbox for it.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, Microsoft's just monetizing users that are already in their ecosystem.
Yes,
PC users use
Windows.
Windows.
This is not a new market. I just want to say this really quick, Eric. That's not a new market they're trying to create. They are monetizing an existing user base where it's like, well, the other two console manufacturers don't cater to you. We might as well get you locked into our subscriber ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like, why is it crazy that the company that creates an operating system used around the world is also like putting
the games on their operating.
Right.
The audacity of the software manufacturer putting software on their own software. God damn.
See, maybe this is the curse of the fact that at one point Xbox was seen as a completely separate thing from Microsoft, even though it was made as it's Microsoft Xbox. It's been on record to say that at a time they were seen as they were off in their own little building doing their own little thing, right?
It was seen as a weird science project.
Right. Yeah, like you would see anything that like Seamus Blackley talks about, like the early days of Xbox. They were kind of like the laughing stock of Microsoft because they're like, these guys are trying to make a video game console to compete with PlayStation and Nintendo.
Yeah, or the fact that they asked Bungie to stop working on the Mac version of Halo, and they're like, hey, we want a first-person shooter on our new console that's going to compete with Japanese devices. And the Bungie guys were like, that's a good one.
Right.
Wait, what?
But in this scenario, it seems like a lot of the fanboys have forgotten that this is a Microsoft Xbox. Xbox is a Microsoft product, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the same. This is the same thing when I get so mad as someone who took business extensively when people are like, "Why doesn't Microsoft have games? Their market share is like hundreds of billions of dollars. Why aren't they buying games?" Because Xbox doesn't have access to the whole value of the company. That's not how company value works. The head guy from Microsoft just can't pull $100 billion out of a magical wallet and throw it on Phil Spencer and be like, make games.
Right.
That's not how companies function in a realistic world. And like the Xbox division makes up 11% of Microsoft.
That's why I always laugh when guys are like, They seem to understand the concept that Microsoft is over the whole thing when it comes to spending Microsoft's money. But when it comes to to this portion of it where Halo's going to PC, wait a minute, Xbox isn't Microsoft.
Yeah.
but Microsoft could buy all these companies if they wanted to.
Yeah, it's like I don't understand the outrage, especially because like Gears 4 was on the Windows Store and it did better as a result. Cuphead is available on the Windows Store, probably did better as a result. Forza Horizon 3. You see a trend here?
Every time you get the numbers, it's usually the PC number that actually did better. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Well, look at Cuphead on just on Steam sales alone when they released Cuphead, because Cuphead was available on Steam and Xbox and Microsoft Store. Mm-hmm. And on Steam, when it hit 500,000, I think it was like 300,000 was Steam users.
Yeah.
And like it helped the game out. The game hit 1 million copies. It did amazing because it was available on all platforms that Microsoft either owned or it was on Steam, which was great. That helped the developers make more money. What's wrong with making developers more money so they can keep making games that we love to play?
So Nick, can we do this then? We can stop with the hyperbole that Xbox has no games and just go with the thing of say Xbox gamers ain't buying no games.
Okay, I'm with it. Sure.
Oh Lord.
See
if these ended up on that chart somehow, guys. Come on.
Xbox gamers don't play games. PS4 gamers only play weird Japanese RPGs, and apparently
let's roll it back. Let's roll it back because Xbox. There's PC Xbox. Let's say Xbox. Let me be specific. Xbox console gamers ain't buying no games.
I'm off to go buy 4 copies of State of Decay 2 out of frustration.
Man,
the guy you read about math problems who buys 172 watermelons. I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to load up a grocery cart.
Oh my gosh. I feel like some guys, like when I tweet out stuff like that, when I'm obviously joking and people take me seriously, I feel like I've made some people on social media develop a twitch. They're like sitting there, their eyes just twitching, reading my Twitter feed.
Yeah,
but
you can like shoot fish in a barrel on Twitter if you really wanted to, man.
oh man, I've got a draft selection on Twitter. I'll screenshot and send it to you guys. They're my if I'm ever closing my Twitter, they're all my
They're your order 66 guys.
Oh.
Execute order 66.
Yeah, like 100%. I'm saying they're like if I ever like if people are just like, oh, you're not relevant anymore, blah 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 blah, I'm gonna be like, okay, boys, it's time to drop some heat.
Eric, you're killing me. I feel like I'm gonna wake up one day, 6 a.m. getting my cup of coffee and my bagel or something. And I'm gonna get a tweet or a little direct message from Nick. The time has come. Just will be done. Posting the crap list right now.
It'll be like some Minority Report type stuff.
All right, guys.
Oh God,
it's been a great episode, guys. Thanks
man.
everyone for coming in by and hanging out. Really great episode as always with the guys. Rage will be back next week.
we think.
If we think
He can't dodge our Spidey opinions forever.
That man, I swear, his opinion on video games sometimes. If he didn't live across the country,
and by that point, because I figured now I will say this though, he's beaten God of War.
Okay.
So that makes two of us. And I'll have the platinum by then. I'll probably have the platinum by tomorrow or Monday. So I figure that will let the unnamed individuals resume for our spoiler cast next week. Am I right?
I figured it out. I figured it out, Nick. What it is, it's the kids.
Yeah.
It's the kids. They're messing us up. They're messing our lives up.
There does seem to be a common denominator in these scenarios.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. This is one of the reasons, like, I'm doing the God of War review for Tick. And I started to realize why I had stopped doing reviews as a whole. It's because, like, the amount of time, like, in order to power through a game, like, I used to be like Sam. I used to be able to power through a game in a decent amount of time. But now it's like, either my daughter wants to play Xbox or like when my kids are around, I really don't want to play because like I'm not into the game. I'm like, you know, hanging out with my kids. I'm doing stuff with them and stuff like that. So I don't really want to play the game. So by the time I get my kids to bed and everything else and I settle in, it's like 8:30 at night. I've got to go to work at 11. It's like, okay, so I'm going to get like an hour and a half. And then it's like, oh, it's a 40-hour game. And I'm like, damn it. But
nowadays, man, my daughter, she's like a cat that hears a can opener.
Yeah, whoever decides to make consoles make noise when you turn them on is a my daughter, she hears my Xbox One X go diddly. She's running into the room. She's like, Dad? I'm like, oh, damn it.
Yeah.
But
like, Daddy, what are you playing? You want to play a game? I'm like,
it takes some time. So next weekend, we'll do the God of War spoiler cast.
You are being warned. No holds barred. We will discuss everything. Every crack, every crevice, every rune.
We're going to have, I've got a guest coming on, Fatal Mephisto. I cannot pronounce his Twitter handle.
Fatal Mephisto.
Thank you. Fatal Mephisto. He was one of the first people that I know that got the platinum. He got the platinum on Monday of the release.
That's what's up.
Wow.
That man, he did not sleep. I'm almost positive he cranked like 16 Red Bulls and powered through that game. And then went to work on Tuesday, probably like a zombie. So huge props to that guy. We're going to have him on next week to talk God of War with us. Might try to sneak someone else in too, but I'm not going to say who yet. That'll be a surprise for everybody. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in to the show. Some exciting news coming up in the next 2 weeks that I will announce closer to the dates because I've had some improvements on my end of things. So there's going to be some good changes coming to the show. And I'm really excited to bring that to you guys. So we'll do some outros and we'll let you guys continue on with your night. Sam, where can the good people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Samuel Talbert, but don't say I didn't warn you. You can also find me on ticgn.com, writing reviews, news, opinion pieces, pretty much everything. And actually, it kind of got lost today, a little bit in the news, but we just had a great interview with Nick Lang, who is the lead producer for Forza Motorsport at Turn 10. He's been with them for a couple of years. He has a long history in graphics departments at video games, used to work for EA. So please check that interview out. It's a really fascinating, down-to-earth look at what working there is like.
I'm actually going to check that out after I get off here. Actually, I'll throw the link to that in the description as well. Eric, where can the good people find you?
Good people, you can find me on Twitter, EC Jackson with an X, and you can also find me Wednesday nights on Brat Podcast at 9:00 with Enrique and Mr. Beat Money from Tick. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Right on, right on.
And speaking of Tick, we have a bit of an announcement regarding that, don't we? I mean, we made the announcement via Twitter, but we didn't talk about it here, so I figured it's worth giving a shout,
I
right?
completely forgot about that. And Cal was in the chat and everything. God damn.
Yes. Cal and I were going back and forth about Quantum Break.
Oh, boy.
I love Cal.
We're going to do a spoiler cast.
I can't with that man sometimes. I cannot.
I love Cal.
I love him, but sometimes, man. Sometimes. So through the affiliate program, thanks to the Inner Circle, the Gaming Perspective was one of the first three. Was it three? It was two. First two podcasts picked up for the affiliate program. Cal's channel was also picked up as well. That's
excuse me. So three. You're absolutely right.
I knew there was a third one. So it was us, NLG Gaming, which is a fantastic group of guys, and us were part of the first group of Tick affiliate program. The affiliate program is a really, really great program that's really designed to help really good gamers and people that are interested in being a part of the community and being part of the industry, so to speak, branch out and reach a wider audience. So if you are interested in joining or applying for the affiliate program, you can contact Anchorman V2 on Twitter, and he'll be able to hook you up with all the information you need and what kind of standards are expected and everything else. So that's really exciting for us. I don't think anyone's really surprised, seeing as 3 or 4 of us write for the website. But it's really great, and it's going to be great to be able to be a part of this program, help the program grow, and see the guys on the show reap the benefits of it as well. So I'm really excited for that, and more info on that will come as it becomes available to me. So thank you guys for tuning in. So the God War spoiler cast next week. That's going to be exciting. And if you have any questions at all, you can always find me on Twitter at Undead3XVI. And also, if you're interested in DMing me and I do not follow you, you can either tag me in something or you can email me via the email in the description in my bio for business and personal inquiries. So thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you guys all next week. So have a fantastic Saturday night and enjoy the remainder of your weekend.